Okay, folks, welcome back. Let's get everything in place where it's supposed to be, and we'll get started. We'll attempt to get started. Speaking of attempting to get started, that paint palette is not where it's supposed to be. I think I know where it is. Be right back. I almost had a disaster yesterday afternoon. Welcome, Kevin. And I had taken my figures to out to the garage to paint them, and I put them on here. I couldn't find my clipboard that I normally use, so I just put them on here. And this is super slippery. And at one point in the garage, one of them actually went overboard. And yeah, I guess this is so slick, and the bottom of these are slick, and it's a bad combination. So I left it out there because the clipboard actually ended up being left where I spray, not brought in like I normally do. No, so far this is pretty mold resistant. I don't really see any at all, so. Well, we got the first stand of the Huns done. Before I do anything else, I need to write myself a note because I did a different basing pattern, and I'm just going to write it here for now. Actually, let's get rid of that little spot there. It's going to drive me crazy. I gotta put this stuff in a safe place. Not that I couldn't go through videos and figure it out, but I wanted to get a different base color look for this step army than normal. And what I did differently was, for a base color, I went flat earth. And then I did US field drab. And then dark sand. And when I put that flat earth down, it looked like I had made a big mistake. It started to look like Alabama clay, which is, okay. It just wasn't what I was expecting it to be, and it actually dried out okay. The standard one is, of course, chocolate brown, US field drab, and then Iraqi sand. And that was, I'm pretty sure, off of Flames of War. And the other two are written down somewhere, so I don't want to have to try to recreate this. So this is the first basing I did kind of on my own. Yeah, the freaking one for the I'll put Byzantine on here. The Byzantine one is English uniform. Green ochre. And dark sand. Sand, not sank. Dark sank. Yeah, the water was really deep. It was a dark sank. Hey, I only had one sip of coffee. Now two. So, pretty happy with the results of it. Got 4 other guys. But of course, they're going to have to be paired together with 4 other forged in battle figures. So we're going to go ahead and base these guys in black. This one here, and then start painting the other guys, so we can get 5 stands of these Huns done. All right. And I still didn't get my, and here it is, the last 3 stands I have of Litgos until they come in. They're not getting here real quick. They must have not had them in stock. That's why you can't leave things till the last minute. And I put a picture of the Huns on the thumbnail because they honestly don't look very good on the video. I don't know what it is. The light is just less than ideal, but pretty happy with how they turned out. All right, we need to do some maintenance here. There's just shit everywhere. Not everywhere, and places it shouldn't be. I don't like being crowded when I work. Puts me in a bad mood. I don't live in a metropolitan area. I'm not a fan of being crowded. Okay. You like the wolves, huh? Welcome back. Well, we'll see. It's going to be a little while before I paint one. I don't like right now that these howling bastards are in the way. I need to get rid of all this shit that's encroached on my area. You elephant, get the hell out of here. Here, have a peanut. That's what I really want to do. I really want to do the elephant. I really want to do the elephant. This army's going to suck in battle. But I'd rather my army suck in battle and be happy with how they turn out. That's more important. Alright, this barbarian here. So I was basically home all day long, The girls went out of town. And I needed to go do a return. And I didn't. It's kind of in the part of town that's kind of a pain in the butt to get to because of traffic. So I waited till about 6 p.m. I left, and as soon as I leave, my tire pressure light comes on. And I think I'd kind of noticed that one of my tires was low. So now I got to go deal with that today. I couldn't deal with it yesterday because, of course, every place is closed. So hopefully I won't need a new tire. That's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be pleasant because the tire next to it has 14,000 miles on it. So, and I really don't want to replace both of them. And I don't want to replace them with the tires that aren't on the rest of the vehicle. They're kind of a unique tire. They're Yokohamas. So I doubt any store will have it. So I'm not really looking forward to my experiences after the morning painting session today. I'm already expecting to have a bad day. And it's a bad day because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, it's just going to cost money, whatever. It's going to be one of those, I'm going to have to cogitate about what decision to make. So I'm going to take it somewhere that can at least plug it. And maybe the tires can last a little longer. And then replace both of them. But it is also a lease, so, it's not that big a problem. I got to ask my wife what we did last time, but the last lease we did was the first time we ever had to replace a tire on any of them. So, it's not a high percentage of occurrences. It's just probably some dirtbag construction worker that just threw nails everywhere they went. So that's all right. Joke's on him. He's a dirtbag construction worker the rest of his life. But we'll see what it is. If it was just like, hey, we have that tire in stock, nobody's going to have it. The dealership may have it. Dealership's not open on Sunday. And I really need to get that taken care of, or I don't have a way to get to work. And some of us don't get to work from home, ever. So, we'll see. Let's hope I can make the right decision when the time comes. See, that's why painting is no issue whatsoever. I always make the right decision when I'm painting. I don't ever have to worry about that. Hell in this. Yeah, I gotta find somebody that can plug it. Assuming it's pluggable. Because it could take a long time. Even if I want to get the right tire, it'd take a long time to get the tire here. With this current situation that we're all living in of, oh, we don't have this. We don't know where we can get it. The new abnormal. That's what I'm going to call it. Instead of people call it the new normal, it's the new abnormal. This guy's a strange cat. This guy looks like Ming the Merciless. And I don't mean that in a good way. So somebody was telling me that the sculptor of these figures is the same sculptor of Old Glory. And I'm like, well, wait a second. Hold on. Not Dave Alsop. So maybe the other guy? Somebody says, yeah, the cheekbone guy. I'm like, if this is the cheekbone guy, he's certainly changed his sculpting style quite a bit. So I'm not sure I'm convinced on that. But regardless of what this guy's past experience is, he's a really good sculptor. And these are superb figures. And, I mean, these are better figures than my Merlaton Russians. know, the horses are, I love the style the horses are done in. For some reason, I like the look of light horse elements. I don't know. Do you? I think they're kind of missing something. I mean, not here. That's why I kind of pushed them closer together to each other. I had some rocks, and there's not going to be any grass on this army. I just wanted to do the tufts. I'm kind of going away from the grass. I like the look of just tufts. I don't know, they seem kind of empty. I like the look of heavy infantry on 15 millimeter stands. I like them tight. Yeah, we did 4 different type of tufts on here. Actually, they're all right here on this end. That's the 4 of them. So, all right. What are these guys? Didn't get a whole lot of black on them. Oh, this guy's got poofy pants. This guy's got poofy pants like he's a Zouave. Well, we'll see how that skirmish game goes. I hope it goes okay. I wouldn't mind painting some 19th century stuff. I never have. I think I'd like how it turned out. Just don't know if the game's worth painting for. So, we'll see. I'm afraid it's too basic. It's going to be too basic, but maybe that's what I need. Just motivation to paint things and not worry about the rules so much. But what did we learn about yesterday? Watched a couple of videos, or a video on the Brits in Afghanistan, which I didn't know jack shit about. And honestly thought they had an easier time of it than they did. Must be a common Afghanistan thing. The graveyard of empires, as they said on there. But all right. But obviously at 15. Any other scale would just be ridiculous. Would be ridiculous. Individually based 15. But the nice thing is, if I was doing that, these guys are done. I mean, I wouldn't base them on these round ass things. I mean, well, they could be on round stands, but not these shoddy stands. These are just, if I was going to put them on stands, and they're individually based, I would already go ahead and put them on a stand right there. And that would be their ultimate stand. And once you're done, you could just scoop them and move on, Might be a bit flimsy with 15 millimeter individual figures for folks to handle, but we'll see. Worst case scenario, I'd have some different figures to paint, But I definitely want to paint figures that I like the manufacturer, that I'm happy with. So maybe some of Alsop's figures or something like that. I like the Eureka, is it Eureka? That makes Crimean War. I think it's Eureka that makes Crimean War. And they're like Anthony Barton stuff. And I don't mean to knock Anthony Barton. He's awesome. But all of his figures are like minifigs. They all kind of look the same. They don't have this kind of personality. So we'll see. One of my favorites is an Elan Light Horse General. Well, this pack actually came. One of these lists can actually have a Light Horse General. And that's what I actually got the wolf for. One of these lists can have a Light Horse General as well, so I will be building a Light Horse General. I actually like how a Light Horse General behaves, to be honest with you. As long as you can keep them away from that damn bowfire. Is it the Shangnu that has? Maybe the Shangnu who has them. Nope. Nope, Shangnu has to have a cavalry general. Alright. Coffee isn't working this morning. Oh, Attila can be a light horse general. Well, maybe not him, somebody else. What's the other one that can be a light horse general? The other Hunnix. And the Sabers. Yeah, I won't be making a warband general for the Sabers. Sorry. So Attila, Saber, and other. Okay. Well, I actually got 3 different commanders. One of them is actually the gladiator guy, which is my least favorite because he's carrying a knife that's about, I don't know, maybe 8 inches long. It's supposed to. I guess it's supposed to be a sword, but. And it's just the way the casting is because I have a couple different of the same figure, and they all have that little butter knife. Not very intimidating. All right. Which one of these guys we're gonna do? Let's do the guy that doesn't have a bear skin on him. All right. What other color horses do we have here? We got dark brown, medium brown. Geez, stop fumbling so much. And this lighter color. Okay. And the other one that's carrying a bow, he's got to go with him. He's got to go with this guy. All right, so let's put this guy away and do a lighter colored horse who's going to go with one of these 2 guys. Okay. Done. use this right here. I felt like I spent a lot of time painting yesterday. Didn't get much done. I mean, I did get one figure done at base, but I was expecting to get more done. Considering I had the whole damn day to myself. Oh well. Unleash the drippings. Something's happening there. Dirk, nah, he's probably not going to be here for long. This is like opposite land for him. It's going to be time for him to retire and go to work soon. All right, let's paint this clown up. Now, tomorrow should be game night. And we may or may not have a video depending on how many people show up. The advantage of not shooting a video is I don't have to edit a video. But the bad side is something really cool could happen and nobody gets to see it other than the people that were there. Yeah, he's still here. Can't you see I'm busy? We got a theme coming up, Dirk, at our next convention. Armies of Enemies of Persia. It's a Persian theme convention. It's just they pick a theme and a couple games get running. It's not like they're all Persian games or something like that, but I'm not going to be able to use the army that I would want to win with. That I would have an easiest time to win with, which would be a Greek one. I got a lot of confidence in a spear line. I don't have one of those, so I think, what do I have? I got the Turks, and I got these guys. These poor guys I got half a mind to just use the Turks, just run their record into the ground. I don't want to get demotivated by these dumb bastards losing 3 of their games. But I'm painting stuff because I like what I'm painting. Not necessarily that they're winners. And these aren't going to shine until we do some scenarios that throw in special rules that make these units behave more like light horse, unlike how they are in the rules. There's a couple stands of bows, and these guys are hosed. Persian rules. Isn't the entire world enemies of Persia? Not the entire world, but Persia kind of got a bad rap. Persia does not qualify in the top 10 worst civilizations of the world. Although they may be on the list. I stopped looking when I saw when I saw Britain on there. I was like, oh, this is crazy. But then I was reading about Afghanistan and I go, well, maybe not so crazy, but still not top 10. I like reading things about history I didn't know about, that I happened to be interested in at the time. I was watching this program yesterday. I was thinking, man, I wish my dad was around, because he would have enjoyed this. Because he was interested in stuff that, just for history's sake. And I've never really been into colonial crap. So what I want to know is, good morning, Eric. Kevin, you're working on a mixture of feudal Spanish, Almohads, Aghlabids, and Fatimids. Need to keep the figures you're painting varied. I think I've kind of reached the point where when I'm trying to learn about a new period, I'm going to kind of forego going with the Osprey books, because they just don't show you the stuff you want to see, and the history just doesn't scratch that itch anymore. It's not my first go-to place. And it's kind of sad, but there's enough artistic license you have to do with some of these armies that the Osprey book's not going to tell you everything. So one thing about the Russians I didn't know. I always assumed that flag-wise the Russians went from the eagle stuff that they did in the Napoleonic stuff, 7 years and Napoleonic stuff. Their flags are similar to the Prussian flags. And the Austrians to some degree, they've got some kind of an eagle on them, but more like the Prussian ones, they're either on a solid background or some kind of a cross or something like that. And then afterwards they went to the St. Andrew's cross. But apparently I see all these programming that has the tricolor. And I find the tricolor not nice, because the right colors aren't, the blue and the red are touching each other. And that just goes against, the ingrained heraldry that I have. But I thought that tricolor was only after the Tsar. I thought that provisional government that made a deal with that when the Tsar got deposed, they took over, and then it didn't get revived until 1991. But I see all kinds of people using that tricolor in the 19th century. I didn't think it was a 19th century thing. I have to look into that and find out what exactly is going on there. So I don't really like it. Just like I don't like the Austrians. I see a lot of stuff with the Austrians with the two colors, right? I think it's two. I think it's red. I think it's the yellow and black just like one stripe over the other, and it just looks dumb. It's like, you guys have a freaking badass eagle. Why wouldn't you use that? You know, sorry, I'm a fan of eagles on flags. So, I'll have to look into that. But one thing I didn't know about is that little outfit that I was going to say the Soviets. I never call them the Soviets. I don't know why that would have popped into my head. Even in World War II, I don't call them the Soviets. The Russians had that little pointed helmet that they used during the Crimean War, and then caps too. And I wonder how long that little pointed helmet went along with it. You know, stuff to look up. And I like to look up things like that, even if, you know, if I end up not painting it. It's just cool to find things out, you know. But I wouldn't necessarily be interested in it to do the Crimean War, but just of stuff of that period. I think the Crimean War would be a bit boring. Good morning, Mr. Hanna. I think that period would be boring. Not the period boring, but the actual conflict. I mean, they're, you know, in a very restrained. Wasn't there trench warfare? Isn't that like the first conflict that had trench warfare in it? The Crimean War? Like, who wants to war game that with miniatures? Build a hole in the ground. All right, now put them in it. Like, I've thought about doing World War I skirmish, but it would either be Eastern Front or more than likely really early World War I, so that you don't have to get into the trench stuff, you know. Good morning. Am I winning? Well, the day's not over. I'll let you know when the day's over whether or not I'm winning. That's why I started a little earlier today, because I'm not going to be able to paint as long as I normally am able to on a Sunday because of the whole car issue. So, oh well, it's better than it happening on a middle of the week, where you don't have time to do anything on the middle of the week. Enjoyed your day at Claymore. Ooh, I saw somebody had pictures of that. You guys have the best shows. You Brits have the best shows. I saw one guy that posted pictures of a battle of Pydna, but there were elephants, and I'm like, no, wrong Macedonians. Maybe there was some kind of, alternative thing, but seems kind of annoying to go through all the effort of painting all those figures and then getting the specifics of the battle wrong. Was reserved only buying terrain for basing and brushes as well as white paint, which I was short on. Yeah, you guys' shows are like one day, so. That's a lot of effort for the vendors to set things up for one day. Yeah. Some of my favorite painters are from the UK. Maybe there's better painters where there's basements. Is every place is it common for houses in Britain to have basements? I've never lived in a house with a basement. They're verboten here. And when I lived in Alabama, when I was a kid, we didn't have a basement there either. And it was northern Alabama. I don't know why the hell we didn't have a basement. We just didn't. Is that a common thing? Managed to avoid getting sucked into buying figures, which surprised myself. You get older and you learn your own tricks. You know that sometimes you're up to no good. The elephants were from the Numidian forces. I saw that battle and it was very well done. Okay. There's Numidians at Pydna? Okay, well. Maybe. Those goddamn Numidians. It's not that it's not mighty of an army, just Mitch must have a deal with the devil. He just can roll his way out of all kinds of stuff for the Numidians. Well, joke's on him. They're not a very pretty army. I prefer prettier armies. Cool cellars, but no basements. Isn't it the same thing? What's the difference? You keep wine in one? Do you have access to one from the outside, or? That would be cool. Where do you play? Oh, we play in our cellar. Oh, thank you. Sounds very nice. You're a big wine drinker, aren't you, Dirk? I like the taste of it. I don't feel well with it. Well, maybe, here in the States they put that sulfite shit in it. Maybe if it didn't have sulfites it wouldn't be so bad, but I'm not a fan of how it makes me feel. Numidians are prettier than Huns. Numidians can't wear any freaking hats. I tell you what, when my forces are raping their way across Europe and they come across you and you say, no, I'd rather be raped by a Numidian, not a Hun. They're prettier. I think they both have hair issues. You had a basement when you lived in Michigan. They're not going to be prettier than these Huns. These guys are going to be awesome. And I'm not a Hun fan. It's like, at any point do I think these guys are the good guys. Sorry. I don't think they played a remarkable role. I'm going to read about that. Because I didn't know that. Pydna, heffalumps. Pydna. Heffalumps. Oh, you said coal cellar. I thought cool cellar. Sorry. Coal cellars are small and usually extend out the street so the coal man can deliver the coal from a chute in the street. I'm sorry. I thought you meant cool cellar. I got to squint and come up to take a look at it. I've got the thing dialed up as high as it'll go, the size of the font, but I actually had a dream last night that it involved some heresy. And the heresy involved, and the reason I remembered it was towards the end of, my extravaganza of 6 different shows that are, usually the dreams, but it involved actually painting miniatures. I don't know that I ever had a painting miniature dream, but it involved me not being able to see and pretty soon not being able to paint anymore. That would fucking suck. That would absolutely fucking suck. I see no signs of, I can't paint in 20/20 vision anymore because it's up close, but honestly, I'm enjoying painting, and a lot of it is thanks to you guys. I'm enjoying painting a lot more now than I have in many years in the past. I look forward to doing it. And it doesn't matter that I don't get done what I wanted to get done, that it takes longer than I was hoping, but it's constant progress and moving the ball forward, so to speak. Your father has a coal cellar and 2 open fires in his house, but you can no longer buy coal due to the bylaws, so he uses logs he picks up when he's out for walks. Roman-trained Numidian javelin man and imitation legionnaires have hats. Okay. If I painted one of those armies and used it, it wouldn't do very well. It's just Mitch's deal with the devil. And apparently he'd made that freaking deal with the devil also with the freaking Huns. Not the Huns, the Han. Because his Han freaking kicked ass too. Maybe I just need to be worried about losing to him more and play harder. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't really care about losing any of the folks I play with. It's not, life or death. It's not like, oh, here's this asshole and I don't want to lose to him because I'll never hear the end of it. Maybe if it was more like that, I'd be more worried about it. We had one of those people that used to play with us. And I heard that he no longer plays games, which is great because that doesn't turn some people off of him. He was borderline toxic. Not in our group, but perfect. You can't discourage other people if you're not playing the game. He only uses log fires in the winter. It picks up logs all year when he goes out for walks. He lives in the country. Mr. K, welcome. You often have dreams about war game shows. I'm always late and rush around desperately trying to find something to buy as the show packs up. Analyze that. Wow. I don't know. I don't believe in dream analysis. I will tell you one thing, and I'm going to say this isn't always the case, but in my non-scientific study, you usually don't have a dream about what you go to sleep thinking about. It's usually something in your subconscious percolating up. I've never had a War Games dream, ever. I don't have to dream about playing War Games. I already do! Yeah, but that was yeah, couldn't paint anymore. That's not good. We have lots of things to do. Like going blind. I would not do well going blind. Deaf? Huh? I'm halfway there anyways, depending on who you ask. Shakes, I don't need the shakes. I don't need to go blind. Um, who was I talking about? Being in a wheelchair? I don't want to be in a wheelchair, but I think I could still do my job if I was in a wheelchair. I certainly could paint. Nah, I don't want none of that stuff, but I definitely don't want the shakes, and I definitely don't want to be able to not see. Yeah, I'd forgotten what I was talking about, when the girls are gone again, not for just one day. It was actually only about like 6 hours or something like that. Um, Try the Discord thing to have you guys chime in. But then I didn't realize, you guys are from all over the world, and I may not be able to understand some of you. Macedonians won the battle easily. The companions rolled up the Romans, right winged, and turned flanks on the Romans. Not historical, but then most games don't have a historical result. Yeah, Romans didn't know what they were doing. Yeah, that's after the heyday of the Macedonians. That battle. I was just thinking maybe they got Magnesia and Pydna mixed up. Because Magnesia, they had elephants. They had the Seleucids. Pydna, I think, was where the pikemen had to go up a slight uphill or something like that. I forget about it. I read a part of a book that was on it. It was really interesting. This book called Legion versus Phalanx. And I thought the book was pretty good. It got one glaring detail wrong, and I forget what it was, but generally the book is pretty good. And the guy made a sequel, but then I heard about the book before I ever listened to it, and it just kind of burned me out on listening to him. He just seems like he gets a little political in it, and I'm not interested in reading history books for your take on politics, you know. So I never listened to his second book, but I rather enjoyed the first one. I don't really care for people's takes on politics because ultimately they're wrong. It's all BS anyways, so. Macedonians tend to do well against Romans in games. It's hard to model the conditions that lead to the breakup of the phalanxes. I think DBA handles it pretty well. I mean, other than the pike being treated as two different units, I think it's okay. I think it's all right. Good morning, Mr. Ben. Hope you filled in the Great War Game survey for this year. I did. I did. Oh, wait a second. Did I or didn't I? There was some survey I did recently, and I stopped at question 2. I stopped at question 2. And it may have been the War Games survey. Maybe not. Question 2 is, what do you identify as? I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, who gives a shit, I'm tired of this woke crap. I don't know if it was that one or it was a Historicon survey or something. I'm like, nah. What do you dress up as on Tuesdays? An asshole. I'm an asshole every day. I think I did. I think that was the one I filled out. It was something else that Roman cavalry are not even a match against companions, and the Macedonians also have better light cavalry support compared to the Romans. Yeah. What I really wanted to fill out was the QRF, what should we do next? I'm not going to buy from them anymore. They didn't send me a survey. Who did I have to blow, Ben, to get that survey sent to me? I'm surprised that as many times as I've ordered from Litco hasn't sent me a note, hey, thanks for pushing our products. I don't want free stuff, okay? They need to run a business and be successful. But I'm like, how can you not? I don't know. They're running a business. I'm small. I'm small change. But I did have somebody recently, some guy in we'll call it our DBA group, but they were kind of a mover and a shaker when I first started to play DBA almost 20 years ago. And about 15 years ago, they disappeared off the planet. They just went, I'm going to say they went rogue, but they didn't go into something else. They just disappeared from the gaming scene. And they show up like a year ago. I'm like, where the hell have you been? Oh, this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden they want to take control again, which is fine, except they don't use Facebook. They don't use social media. They don't use YouTube. They didn't know that I had 500 DBA videos out there. So you want to be in control, but it's kind of like, I want to take over this cruise ship. All right. Well, that's fine. You're a good captain. You used to be a good captain. Go ahead and take over the cruise ship. Right. Now raise the sails. Like, what do you mean sails? Oh, we do have sails, don't we? No, you don't fucking sail ships that way anymore. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because I don't have control things where I feel like I need to be the one in control. I don't like being told what to do, but if you want to be on the board of directors of whatever, I mean, that's more power to you. I'm not a control freak when it comes to that. Identify as an invisible, and mu pronouns and my pronouns are who and where. Yeah, I've heard that one before. Yeah, my pronouns are fuck and you. The phalanx on that game only needed to hold the center whilst the battle was won on the flanks. Yeah, phalanxes are really good at holding stuff. The problem with the Macedonians of that period, I would think, would be experienced pikemen. I think that they'd have a lack of folks, that have experience. It's not like it's Alexander versus, Scipio, which we need to do that. We need to do a series of games where Alexander goes and fights the enemies of Rome. Oh, and Hannibal goes out and fights the enemies of Alexander. And I don't think Hannibal's going to do really well in DBA. But I did thumb through a set of rules that I was kind of intrigued about. And that was a set at Historicon. That was a set, and thumbed very lightly. A set of rules made by the Little Wars guys called Age of Hannibal. And it has no army lists in it, but it does have, I think, 3 battles. And it gives you the order battles of the three battles. And I know why they didn't do army list. It's a tall order when you're just pulling things out of thin air. But I don't know what effect they had on the game, but if you look at the battles, the leaders have adjectives that are behind them, almost like special skills. Like Alexander had something like God complex or something like that. He had like three adjectives, like, lucky, God complex, and brash or something like that. So I wonder. I thought that was a really neat way to make commanders behave differently. However, I saw an example of their combat, and it was the same thing, that you had two units. I think their basing is square, so let's just pretend both of these are square. These are all rectangular. You could only combat like this or this. So I'm not looking any further, because if I'm playing another rule set, it will be, you can fight like this. I've said this a million times. You're going to be able to fight like that. And maybe there's something that you can align if you choose to, but if not, you can just perfectly fine fighting like this. And maybe something like you go into combat like that, and you do one round of combat, then eventually you need to align one way or the other. But it needs to be easier to go into combat, not this Tetris type game. Because I think that calling DBA chess-like is inaccurate. I think it's more Tetris-like than chess-like. But regardless, it doesn't feel right. But I thought that was really cool, the way that they had the adjectives. I'm trying to think what three battles they had on there. They had Cannae, Gaugamela, or the river one. I don't know. It was interesting. It was interesting to see what their take on it. But I should have looked into it further and seen exactly what those adjectives add, because that's a way to... You can't do Hannibal in DBA and him be anything like Hannibal. I mean, I think he was a fucking genius, And... anyhow, it'd be interesting to see how he did all that stuff on there. You also enjoy... Whatever happened to that Musashi guy? I think his interview with you was how I found your channel. Oh, let me get back to that. Enjoyed 2mm game set in Korea and the Gloucester's last stand against the Chinese regiment against the whole Chinese army. It was very well done, and they were going to put a game in Gloucester's Museum. The Gloucester's Museum is in Richmond, Yorkshire, if anybody's interested. Yeah. Musashi's an interesting guy. He is... I've known him for a while, but I met him probably in 2009. And I found him on the miniatures page... not the miniatures page, the Fanaticus. And we were putting on a game at a game store in Lakeland in the middle of Florida. And at that time, 2009, I didn't have anybody to play with on a weekly basis. I was only playing at shows. So shit, I probably only had 100 games to my name, or maybe 100. Very few. And we're going to put on like a kind of a campaign game. We actually had like 10 people show up to it. And he's one of the guys that showed up, played. And I met him, and I'm like, I'm expecting some Japanese guy, and this guy's like 6'4" and an ex-veteran. And it's a long story on his name and why he goes by what he goes by, and I'm not sure that the answer that I got is an accurate one, but whatever. So he goes by a Japanese name, but he's not Japanese at all. He's white bread. I think he wants to be Japanese, but anyhow. And he disappeared from the scene. He went to one show after that. He disappeared from the scene for frickin' 10 years. I get why people disappear. I don't understand why they come back up for air and then they're like 100 miles an hour trying to make up for lost time and then disappear again. It's a quality or a trait that I personally don't have. I value consistency a lot. Life and the world is chaotic enough to be all over the place. But anyways, he's a good guy. He's a harmless guy. He got this idea of like, DBA 3.0 came out and he wanted to do DBA videos. And I'm like, and I had already kind of considered doing that because I had gotten my Samsung 8 Plus phone. I had just gotten it upgraded from a Note. And I'm like, maybe I could do some videos, because we're playing all the time now. But they got to be easy to do. And he was kind of the catalyst for attempting to try videos on my own, and it just kind of took on a life after that. But he just kind of out of the blue, I mean, I hadn't seen him in freaking 10 years, said, hey, I want to drive up to Gainesville, because he lives about 2 hours away, and film some games. And he came over once, and he brought all his freaking lights, which were freaking hot as shit. I mean, they're like, lights that you would do to like, take photo sessions. And he left them there. And he came back the following week to collect them and film some more. And that's it. He hasn't filmed that. I suspect what happened is he ran into editing issues on his computer, because there was one video, for instance, that was really cool, but it never got published because it jammed on he was fighting with the editor. So that's when I realized I'm going to find an editor that I can use for my videos that's not going to make me hate life. And if I can do that and it's free, I'll give it a shot. And I was successful in doing that, and that's why there was videos. But the video part is easy, and the editing should be easy. But if you have some kind of if you've never done a video, the problem isn't shooting the video. The problem isn't editing the video. The problem is when it's like, okay, this is what I want the video to do. So it needs to convert that file. I'm putting this in layman's term because I'm not a computer guy. It needs to convert that file compress it in a way that it can be sent out to YouTube. And sending it out to YouTube isn't the problem. It's the internal stuff it's got to do with the video. And that part of the process can take a really freaking long time. During which time the computer is basically on drugs. And like, you basically can't do another damn thing. And he had problems with that and basically just gave up. And that's it. That's the story behind him. He's, he runs a hobby store out of a flea market, which sounds shitty, but it's actually a nice flea market, and his store is beautiful. His store is absolutely beautiful. And he has all stuff from Japan and stuff like that. He was married to a Japanese woman at one time and went to Japan many, many times. He's told me before, he identifies as Japanese, but you wouldn't know that. But he's a bit eccentric. He's got a lot of energy, and he just like showed up out of nowhere. He did all this stuff, and I guess he kind of got the ball rolling. Would I have probably videoed without him? Probably. I just saw too many really cool things that were happening every week not to share them with folks. And I've come close to not doing videos anymore because of being frustrated with the whole crunching process. Not anything else, just that. But I think we're over the hurdle on that. That's basically the story of him, And I keep telling him, hey, come to a show or whatever. He painted a couple armies, but I think he's just involved in too many things. And a lot of people are that way. I think a lot of people are they watch footballs, they go to movies, they go to the beach, they go this, they have a boat, weekends are for freaking relaxing. There's enough shit you got to do already that I find it, I don't like to start 50 things and finish none of them. It drives me crazy. So, and most people are that way. Most people are, hey, I'll be there, and then they don't show up. You know, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it unless, you know, somebody in my family dies or, you know, I get in a car accident or, you know, something significant that, you know, is is a big deal, not just little things get in the way. We're all eccentric. Okay, well then I would say all people are eccentric. Because yes, some gamers are more eccentric than normal folks, but normal folks are eccentric also. You just assume that. Oh man, that's a little too bright. You just assume that that's not the case. I'm not going to argue with that, but you know, we all have our faults. There's just some faults that I think that are just too incompatible with my personality. And saying you're going to do something and then you're not, lying, cheating at games, stuff like that is just unacceptable, unfreaking acceptable. Not wearing deodorant, being corny and a nerd burglar. Okay, whatever. We are all to some degree or another. You know, stinking. No, no. There's no excuse not to wear deodorant, folks. Welcome, Ian. Define normal. Okay, as long as the government doesn't get to define what it is. Almost everybody's unique, John. Yeah, we can't be good at everything. We're all specialized. I would say more than unique. We're all specialized in a certain way. Like some people don't care about my painting. Well, I don't give a shit about their chess playing. So there you go. I'd rather go to work than play chess. So that's the story of Musashi, and he's backed in his he's in his hibernation phase. So maybe in about 9 or 10 more years he'll come out again. I don't know. But he just came out of the blue. He showed up out of the blue. According to him, he played DBA at Historicon one time when it first came out. And then he disappeared until 2009. He came out of hiding. And then he disappeared again until, well, about 10 years later, 2019, 2018, something like that. Soda time. All right. Which guy are we going to pair this guy up with? Doesn't matter. They're both a darker color horse. Good. That's why I did it on purpose. We can make those other decisions at some point. All right. This guy has like a big, almost like overcoat. I'm going to say that's not going to be a bright color. I'm going to say it's almost grayish looking on this guy. Let's see what we got to start with. Let's see what starter color we're going to use. I want something grayish and I want it a little brown. But not too brown. What color is this? World War II beige camouflage. Zeltbahn base. It could work. All right, let's roll with this. Life does that to you. When my son was born, until he was around 10, I never played or did anything war games related. Oh, man. I don't watch television. I basically don't watch movies on my own. Mitch keeps saying, "Hey, you need to watch this." I'm like, when the hell am I going to watch it? I'm not going to watch it now. And your priorities don't have to change if you don't like your kid. Like you could have been an estranged dad and said, I don't want to have anything to do with this guy. I'm going to keep wargaming. There you go. Your priorities didn't change. I'm not suggesting that. Actually, I think because too much of that has happened is probably why we're in the mess that we're in. But as I like to say, you don't know who your dad is. Yeah, I'm enjoying the videos too. I've come close to stopping, and it's not because of the video. It's the, I edit everything on my phone because this editor on the phone is really easy to use. And if you've never edited a video, you already know how to do it. You've just never done it before. Because if you've watched any kind of commercial programming, you know how it is. Okay, I want the title to be here, and I want the letters to spin out, and it's really easy to use. But the problem is it's, my other phone did not have it takes a lot of RAM and it takes a lot of time, and if it doesn't work, you can't. It's not like it crunched part of it and you can just pick up where you left off. You have to start from scratch. So that's the frustrating part. Any video that's longer than, say, an hour is going to take a while to process. The little unboxing videos, I can do those like in no time. Or I shouldn't say I can do them. The computer can process them in no time. All the other stuff that's like 4 and 5 hours long, they're a pain. But it's a bigger pain to make multiple videos, for one thing. So, your wife had a friend over with her new partner. Her partner spotted my painting table, and it turns out he is a modeler. Oh. Loved my kid. Took him on days of sports museums, art galleries, car shows, and he loves cars. Spent 2 hours discussing painting techniques, much to the disgust of our wives. I'm bringing a friend over for dinner. I'll show you. I'm going to have more fun with him than you will with your girlfriend. Let's see. I can't say that I've had a similar experience. I rarely encounter anyone that's even interested in history. I don't need them to be they don't even need a war gamer, just something to talk. Nope. No, nobody's interested in history anymore. I did encounter one person, and it was like, I don't know what happened. He just didn't hit it off or whatever. You don't have to be a war gamer, Most people just aren't interested in stuff that... interested in. And I'm not going to change. I'm not going to, well, let's go to sports games so I can talk about sports. Fuck that. That's what everybody else is for. I'm unique, damn it. That's pretty much it. Honey, you never want to do anything with anybody else. If you keep bringing people like that, you better believe I would want to. Yeah. Yeah, this one guy that my wife, she wasn't really good friends with or anything, but I'm like, oh, cool, we can talk history because he's a history teacher. I think that if I taught history, it would kill my interest in history. Because if you're teaching something to people that just don't give a shit about it, that are just there to get the grade, that's not good. You know, that's not, that doesn't do it. As my wife says one time, well, you watch and listen and read books, not for entertainment, but to learn shit. I said, you got it. That's exactly it. I get it. I do it because I want to learn about something. And then I get to participate in it, you know, to the level that I'm allowed, you know, obviously, because you can only do so much. But yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I have a hungry brain. Looking forward to dinner at their place. Oh, shit. That's awesome, Dirk. You remember the story from Let Adventure where the wife's friend's kid went into the game room and played with all the models? Dude stopped posting for a year after that. What happened? Did he destroy the stuff or something? I noticed, by the way, that Battle of Pydna game. They had a little write up, and one of the things we what was the wording on it? We basically we'd really appreciate if you wouldn't pick up the figures, but it was worded in a different way. It was worded in a very ass kissy way. I would have been like, "You touch my figures, you fucking die." Oh, you can't do that in Britain anymore. Never mind. You know, how many incidents of people picking up figures and damaging them has happened before you have to put a sign up at your game that don't touch the figures? I don't touch other people's figures. I think I did that whole walk around at Historicon. I don't think I touched anything. And if I did, if I touched your figures at Historicon, don't worry, I made them better. I usually only damage my own stuff. You know, I get careless with my own things sometimes, but that the kid got everything down and then played giant or something. I don't think anything survived, and the friend wouldn't pay for the damage either. Oh. Well, you can always make more kids. University, I sat on a lot of history classes even though I wasn't taking the course. I took them all for electives. And that was before I was wargaming anything other than World War II. Got a friend that my wife doesn't like a bit. When I go out with him, it normally involves some degree of alcohol, but only meet up with him occasionally. I rarely, and this may seem really strange to you, what I'm about to say, I rarely have gaming and alcohol that mix. Rarely. I grew up playing, you know, when I was 18 years old, so it was never a thing. And I get sleepy when I drink. It's not because I behave bad. I behave better when I have a couple of drinks in me. I'm a lot more fun. I think so too. It's just things that I don't, did we have drinks at Historicon? Yes. I didn't drink while I played, though. You know, I enjoy using your brain, and you don't use your brain as much when you're drinking. So I never mixed the two. Never had a bad experience with somebody getting drunk and did XYZ while they were playing a game. Drinking is for times where you have to like deal with people you don't want to deal with. And therefore, it's like, man, let me medicate a little bit so I can deal with so-and-so. Work gatherings. Go to somebody's house, you don't care. Oh, let me have a drink. Survive that one. Not, doing the thing I enjoy just about more than anything else. I don't need to drink for that. So, Cloverfield. Ooh. I drop your own figures. Yeah, I get careless. I'm starting to get a little fumbly and it pisses me off. I'm going to have to put myself in solitary confinement. And maybe it's because I can't see. I'll go over here and grab one thing and knock something else down. I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm an asshole, not a fumbler, damn it. Yeah, my daughter, when she was little, she never touched my stuff on my desk. Never. I don't have one of those kids. She never touched the range. You'd tell her, don't do this, and that's what she did. She didn't do it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, don't tell me what to do. Whatever you do, don't go in that room. Oh yeah, that's where I'm going to spend all my time while you're at work. So, I had a really good kid when it came to that. But then I didn't hide things from her. I'd be like, hey, come here, let's check this out, So there wasn't oh, I don't want to go in there. That's just daddy's toys. Those are no fun. Drink with a meal. This normally happens. It's the after meals drinking my wife doesn't like. Yeah, I don't war game and drink. Especially when I go over to Mitch's. First of all, it's at the end of an evening where I'm going to have to drive back. And it's not dangerous because, just freaking plan and, have freaking one beer or two at the beginning of a 4-hour evening and you'll be fine. It's just that it makes me sleepy. And I got to go to work the next day and sometimes edit a video. So, and it's hot. So all of those things don't contribute to me wanting to have any alcohol. And I generally don't do well with alcohol late in the evening. I need more time for it to process. But I'll make an exception depending on what army I'm playing. Nelson Jager from Austria. Welcome. Nerzen. I know what the Jaeger part is. Nerzen. I don't know what that is. Hopefully it's something you're allowed to hunt. Put on a club game using your own figures and a player lobbed a base of figures onto the next table. The hell? You told him he would be ejected if he did it again? You gave him a chance to do it a second time? Lunchtime in a land of toys. Gotta go. I guess you like that. It is. When I was a kid, there was those Britain's figures. Where's Britain's from? Britain. Well, it used to be back then. Who knows where they're now. Now they're probably made in China. The land of toys. Mink Hunter. Cool. She's a hypocrite when she goes out with her pals. I got to pick her up and bring her home. At least I get home under my own steam. Okay. Give me your number. I'll have a talking with her. I think it's really irresponsible to I think it's fun to be responsible and have fun and still be responsible. And that goes with no matter what you're doing, whether it's alcohol, driving a vehicle, firearms, you know, being careless and somehow that's cool is not cool. And, figure out who's going to drive and plan accordingly. It's not that difficult. It's a lot easier than going to your damn job that hopefully we all do every day. Responsibility is empowering. I don't know. I'm old school, I guess. So, I'm going to go have whiskey. That's fine. Frickin' stop after an hour or, sip on it. So, you still need to get home under your own power. Responsibility is empowering. I mean, I don't want to be responsible for everything in the frickin' world. But the stuff I can control. Playing in Hong Kong, they always have beers available. Nice to have a beer for the after-game discussion. It is. Played a few clubs in the past that met in a pub or a club where there was a bar available. It always annoyed me when my opponent wanted to pause the game so he could get a drink. Yeah. I don't have any bad drinking experiences. No alcoholics in my family. I don't think it's addictive at all. I rarely drink. It makes me sleepy. And so, true story. Yesterday morning I had a headache. Why did I have a headache? Well, my wife had a gathering for her work, and I had 2 beers. And even though I was fine, it threw off my whatever. And I had a twinge of a headache all day yesterday until maybe 3 p.m. There's your reason not to drink. And I hate having a headache. And I had literally 2 beers and ate with it. So, I can't think of things that I get on a regular basis that I would hate more than having a headache. What's your philosophy? Oh, we'll get back to that. Some of the clubs in Scotland have bars in them. Edinburgh and Tradeston samples. And I've been to those clubs. Can't drink because I need to drive back home. Well, that's why I like whiskey and things like that. Gin, whatever. Just on the rocks. Because you realize it's freaking fuel. You're basically drinking fuel. So you can't guzzle fuel. So you drink it slow so you don't overdrink. I think it's a lot safer than having a beer that you just, have a third one and then, you can't go anywhere. So I definitely prefer stuff like that tastes like, we'll call it poison, because you have to drink it slowly, Okay, philosophy. Yes, Tony's philosophy class. What's your philosophy on the base sizes for DBA? Do you stick to the recommended sizes in the rules? Just started 6mm hot and will probably stick to the 40mm frontage. Where in Austria is DBA played? Did I get that right, Dirk? I'm not as stupid as most Americans. I'm not a standard American. I'm not white bread, I'm olive loaf. Never had a headache or blacked out from drinking, but I'm a Slav, so there's that. Well, it's definitely genetic. Blacked out, never blacked out. Headache, all the time. All the time. And from like one drink, just stupid shit, That's okay. It keeps me on a... And it's usually beer. Beer is usually what I have a problem with. Oh well. Some people are good at drinking, and then maybe they're not so good with directions. Probably the thing I'm better at than anything else is directions. And really surprised most people have a problem with it. And I'm like from pre-internet stuff. Like, yeah, I'll use Google Maps, but then I'll look at it, I'm like, I ain't going that way. That's the wrong way to go there. And it's a place I've never been before. You know, I always know which way north is, and you know. Philosophy DBA base sizes. So if you're supplying, you know, it depends. Are you going to be playing with other people? And you got to play with how other people set things up. And if other people set things up the normal way, then you kind of have to do it that way, or you're going to be playing games where you're supplying figures for both armies, which may or may not be what you want to do. I think the frontage is more important than the depth. I would say that you probably shouldn't, and this probably goes for everything, and we encounter this all the time on several groups, is unless you've played the game for a while, don't start changing shit because you don't have really a frame of reference to know what. You could have changed something that's like the best thing about the game, but you don't know it because you haven't played the game before. So like, for instance, the base sizes in DBA aren't the biggest problem, you know. That would just be my recommendation, you know. Because some people will go and they'll post, like, they don't have any posts at all, and they'll say like, hey, how come this unit plays this way? That seems stupid. And they may have a point, but then they also may be incorrect because they haven't played it before. So, but the width, you know, if you're going to supply the stuff for both sides, it doesn't really matter what you do, you know, as long as you're consistent. But it'd be really frustrating to build an army that you can never use with your mates because they based them the standard way and yours aren't, and you can't ever play together, you know? I mean, I would find that frustrating. Oh. Yes, whiskey. Scotch for U.S. people is the preferred tipple. Well, you spelled it the right way. You know, no E. That's Scotch. Okay. I don't know. I don't know that much German. I can't figure out that much German. Never been a heavy drinker. Gave up completely when I retired. Claymore. 60 millimeter front is very tight for 4. There's 28 millimeter figures nowadays. Like the War Games Foundry stuff because they kept the old 25 millimeter standard. Are there some massive incompatibility problems in 28 mil? Like, can you mix artisan designs and foundry? Can you mix Old Glory or you have major size difference things? I don't know. I'm not a 25 mil guy. 28 mil guy. I think 15 mil is pretty good unless you don't mix really old minifigs with Zyston Romans in particular. But just about everything is compatible to some degree. The plastics, the Warlord plastics. What are those ones that are all over the place? War Games Atlantic? War Games. I'll be honest with you. I am not a fan of plastics, and I'm even less of a fan of plastics when I find out how much they cost. I'm like, F that. They should be a third the price. You know? I mean, they're less than a third the weight. I was surprised. I was surprised when it was like, yeah, a blister of of 28 millimeter figures in plastic was $41 US. I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. Mm, 28 millimeter tends towards 30. Warlord and Perry. Warlord and Perry are on the small side, aren't they? Organized show and convention. Bring and buy. Or as we like to call it, flea market. Depends on your tolerance. Uh-oh. You know, Foundry has two ranges of some things, and they're different. The early Imperial Roman, for instance, have an older range that is closer to 25 mil and a newer one that's proper 28. Oh, my God. You need to bring a seeing eye dog with you then. Dirk, you speak a lot of German for a Dutch boy. Plastic 28s are very close, very cheap in the UK if you shop around. They're not much more expensive than metal 15s, which caused havoc when the Warlord released plastic, and there were 25 mil to scale with the old Foundry range. Oh, man. I played in a 25 millimeter game at the last show, DBA. And I had a lot more fun than I should have. That doesn't mean I'm going to start painting 25s, okay? Actually, it means exactly that I'm not going to start painting 25s. I'm just not going to live long enough to get enough of them painted. I'm not just going to, like, you know, throw them around. I mean, I got to spend like 12 hours on each guy. And there's just no game that's going to have that much detail in the game to justify 12 hours on a freaking figure, right? Maybe if it was like some role-playing game, but then you wouldn't get anything done. But I had a lot of fun playing 25s. And part of the reason was that I could stand up the whole time. And I was like rolling dice like a freaking craps table. It was a lot of fun. It was physical. It was a physical game as opposed to sitting there, you know, pensive. So I enjoyed that. And it wasn't tempting to buy figures, but I'll play with some. What did I play? Anglo-Normans or Normans? I think I played Anglo-Normans or one of those two. And had a lot of fun with them. And borrowed somebody else's figures. I'm not sure if I'm going to be playing in that event this coming convention. I don't have any of my own armies, so I may do something different than DBA. I'm definitely doing something different than DBA in a couple of the game sessions. So we're going to try some Victorian skirmish. Hopefully I don't go down that rabbit hole. Well, if I go down that rabbit hole, I'll make some stuff that's different and it'll look great, you know? So, yep. Bit like the Z range. Victrix plastics. Oh, that's what they are. Victrix are expensive now. The old range isn't bad, but the new ones are almost £1 a figure. Well, that's not too bad. The problem is the packs get so big you have to, like, if you buy one of those Warlord packs, you get 27 figures and they're $41. So it's not bad. The problem is that you have to throw down almost $50 for a set of something. And you know you're going to need 3 or 4 different sets so that you have some variety. So now you're talking like almost $200 for an army. You know, I don't know. These are 18, same as Icedon. Victrix are beautiful. Man 28 is king. No scale, I'd rather go lower. Yeah. Well, you know, I don't have a history of playing anything in 25 28s. So there's no Warhammer tie-in for me. I have no love for them. There's nothing nostalgic about it. So maybe some of that is that I can't get into painting that stuff. I actually had somebody who offered to send me figures, and with no conditions, just like, here's some, paint them up. And I told him no. I'm like, I'm not going to paint them. I'm going to be honest with you. Don't waste your postage. You know, I mean, it was a nice offer. Nicest thing you can do is just be honest with them. Not be like, hey, I'll take them. Oh, it's free. I'll take it. Come on, dude. You know that you're not going to do that. Actually happened to Historicon. They had a box of free Take Me, and there was all kinds of Flames of War books in there. I didn't take them because I'm never going to play Flames of War. So why should I just take something because it's free when I know damn well I'm never going to use it? It could benefit somebody else. I just don't see any situation where I would paint 28s. Even if the figures were free, it just I'm not gonna do a shit job on them. I'm gonna spend way too much time on them, and then I'm gonna see somebody who's been painting 28s their entire life and like their stuff more, and go, well, I gotta up my game. So now my game is now 14 hours on a fig. I just don't have time for that. And then it's not compatible with everything else I have. That's probably the biggest thing. So I don't really want to start from scratch. Really don't want to start from scratch. So because I see somebody's stuff that I like better, and I'm like, oh, I got to give this up. Not with painting. I'm like, screw this. I got to up my game. It's invigorating. Warlord boxes of 24 infantry go for around £20 from resellers on eBay in the UK. Boy, I hardly use eBay for anything anymore. Well, generally nobody's selling the stuff that I want to begin with, but the shipping. Maybe if somebody gave me one 28mm figure. Yeah, what if I enjoy it? I just don't have... It would have to be something really specialized. Like, for instance, if they made some kind of Conquistador game, and I could play the Conquistadors, and I only have to paint like 8 figures, and somebody else has to pay, 300, maybe. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I don't mind playing with somebody else's, if that's the scale they do things in. Yeah, it seemed like there was a big difference, like a compatibility problem with that stuff. I didn't expect there'd be a problem within each range. Like there was Warlord stuff you couldn't use with other stuff. But I'm pretty much going to stick to 15s for this stuff. 20s from our World War II. I'm a devout follower of World War II skirmish in 20mm. Mainly because when I started it, every vehicle was available in that. Not that it's a vehicle heavy, not that I play things with vehicle heavy stuff. All right, yeah, I got you guys juices going. Good, that's what we're here for. By the way, the Spanish Gal men have been released. If you like me to print you some in 15 millimeter. Not yet. Not yet. Give me about a year. I'll be back to Iberia. And yeah, that would be cool. And let me know what the postage is. I can send you over some. Do they come out okay in 50? Are they durable? That's the thing. Games Workshop price is equivalent of sitting on a bike without a seat these days. Oh man, I looked at a few and had 3 resin command figures for 28 quid. What the F? You got to pay for all that advertising, and they do the advertising well, you know. But I picked up some Games Workshop Tufts from a store, you know, a little pack, and they were. It's not this because I didn't buy them, but they were regular shaped and cool. And I'm like, all right, well, they were reasonable price. I looked at the back, made in China. Like, so why am I paying $25 for something made in there? So I didn't buy them. You know, if I'm gonna buy stuff made in China, which I'm not going to, it needs to be a hell of a lot cheaper. Current project 28mm Malburians. Ah, Lacey. Got 2 warlord starter armies with 96 infantry. So here's the thing about the Malburian time period, right? Everybody wore wigs, right? Like the Captain Hook type wigs. So what do they do? Like shave their head like with a, you know, crew cut and then put the wig on, or they just left their regular hair underneath it, or... You know, 2 warlord sets of 96 infantry, 12 cav, 3 guns from Amazon for 60 pounds each. Seems pretty cheap. Afrikaans derived from Dutch. Well, that makes sense because that's who went down there first. Metal 15mm cost, 60 pence infantry. Wait a second. So you're of English descent and you don't like Shakespearean English either? Just speak bloody English. Gives workshops again, what I call gullible worshippers. So most of them are gullible. Discussing this all reminds me of Warrior Miniatures, also on hiatus. Never heard of Warrior. Very durable in 28s, probably more so in 15s. Yeah, just hold on to that. Maybe in about a year. Because that's actually a stand I don't have. The Blade General, I don't have a stand. I got a figure for, like, the main guy. And I already know how I'm making that stand. I just haven't done it yet. A Blade General. I'm a fan of Blade Generals, honestly. They can stand up. Same thing with a litter. I don't think I've lost a litter yet. And I'm playing litter, and I'm like, this has got to be annoying as shit for the other guy. You know? All right, bow time. Botox. Let's see, I believe we did green ochre for this. Yeah. Yeah, those 28 millimeters are freaking gorgeous. Those, what are they? Caballero miniatures. They're freaking gorgeous. Warrior have the old Gallia range. There's a few pictures of them online, but hear old timers speak of them fondly. Do you, you don't print the stuff yourself, do you? That is something I do not want to get involved in. Just have flashbacks of the freaking drafting program not working correctly in college. Flashbacks of things being, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then you go to, when you actually go to use it and you realize it's been a mistake and you've thrown all your time away. I don't want that in my hobby, please. Yeah, even something with a low figure count, like this Blood and Steel, which is what I'm going to try playing, that's pretty much set up for 28 mil. That's just way too much painting time. There's way too much painting time. And there's a lot of 15s/18s for that period that the miniatures look really well done that I would look forward to painting. It's not like, oh, I got to paint these guys that I'm not happy with. So, like I said, I'm even entertaining possibly doing American Civil War. As much as I dislike the American Civil War, but it's probably a bad idea though, because I would just have way too much fun doing Confederate accents. But those figures are sculpted by my hero, so it'd be an opportunity to paint more of his stuff, which is never a bad thing. Even though this guy's pretty freaking good right here that I'm painting. Speaking of my hero, if you go on there, if you go on Old Glory 15s and go to American Civil War, some of the best figures I've ever seen in my entire life are the general sets for the Confederacy and the Union. If you look at that, those guys look right out of a painting. It's truly, truly freaking amazing. Truly amazing. And that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. The only problem with playing American Civil War, well, is I don't want to play the North, because what voices can I do for the North? Just talk normally? Talk like everybody's from Brooklyn? I don't think that'd come in yet. Hey, you gonna shoot me with your musket? Painting them would be fine. Paint a lot of guys in blue. I think that could be cool. You know? You're going to order some 15mm Napoleonic Austrians from Warrior after Christmas, but they suspended trading before I could get an order in. They're okay figures, less than half the price of Essex. I've never even heard of them. No friend prints for me. I just pay for the resin, and they'll be back eventually. Chapman charges an illness, but I heard he's on the mend now. Any plans for a battle video soon? Depends how many people show up. We have the opposite problem of Historicon. We have too many people showing up. So if it's more than 4, you can't really film. So we may have more than 4 tomorrow, which means I may not play and film instead. But then you don't get my great dialogue while I'm playing the game, which nobody else seems to do. That's honestly one of the things I enjoy doing the most. telling you why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't give a shit if I give away my plans to the enemy. Screw them. It's fun to do. So, you know, when things go sideways, you can still see that I made the right decision. Even though the dice gods had other plans. I really enjoy doing that. So that's the problem that we have, is we have too many players. So, and multiple cameras isn't an option. I'm not set up for that. That's just torturing me into, you know, doing a video and have to create a bunch of extra work, especially when it's at the beginning of my work week. It's not like I can just do it over the weekend. So, that's what the problem has been, is we have too many players. So the other day we had 6 people that showed up, and it's loud, and both air conditionings are running all the time, and they don't even work worth a damn, in my opinion, and they're still loud as shit, you know. So, Mr. Turnbull, welcome. We manufacture the Huns. These guys are forged in battle. This particular guy is forged in battle. So this army is going to be a mixture of forged in battle, mostly forged in battle, and mostly gladiator. The elephants, a museum. Got some Essex guys that are going to be mixed in for some of that quote-unquote halberdiers on the same stand as the elephant. But other than that, it's pretty much all going to be forged in battle and gladiator. Play Irish Brigade or one of the German legions, maybe even the Garibaldi Guards, and give them a deep Italian accent. I never heard about Garibaldi Guards. Interesting. Mitch's barefoot Han. I don't know. I also came back. I've never come back from a show with this much energy to paint new stuff. And I'd rather paint than play. I mean, they're both important. Yeah, painting stuff and never playing with them is kind of stupid, you know, for me. But yeah, the Huns are going to be really for scenarios. We're going to do some scenarios with these guys in the Han. So, and we already know which the first battle we're going to do. I just got to get these guys done and paint them up. And it's going to take a little while. Not that bad. Just got to stick with it. They'll get done eventually. I got the Byzantines done. I didn't do the Byzantine stuff to make the Komnenen, but that's 4 more stands and I'll have 2 more armies done, so that'll happen eventually. All right, where is the U.S. field drab? It should be right here. There it is. Buongiorno. Ah, yes. Had a friend that had his plan A. If that doesn't work, go to plan B. If that doesn't work, go back to plan A. Yep. Speaking of Greeks, welcome, Marco. I'll have to read about the Greeks in that Victorian time period, because it would be pretty cool to do an army of those sissy-dressed dudes. What are those ephazones, or however they are, with the pom-poms and shit like that? Go kick ass with those silly-looking folks. Where'd the Huns get elephants from? India. White Huns. You're dying under the weight of what I need to paint. First, finish Marian Romans, finish early Byzantines, later Hebrew, Nicaphorians, Constantinians, Paleologans, Nicaeans, and then I can get started on other 15mm armies. One thing at a time. Do what I do. Finish what you're doing. Don't even decide what you're doing next until you're done. You have a Garibaldi Guard unit in my 15mm Union Army, old Falcon miniatures. All right, I got to write that stuff down. I don't know anything. Irish Brigade. Yeah, they make Irish Brigade figures, but they're not done by my hero sculptor. They're by somebody who added them on there. Garibaldi cards. Garibaldi cards. You love pirates? Is there a fascination with pirates all over the world, or is it just a United States thing? I hate pirates. And the nice thing is Mitch doesn't like them either. That's actually really handy. I don't like pirate stuff. I wouldn't mind hunting pirates, but suspect you have more than your own weight in unpainted miniatures for DBA armies. I don't, but it is close. I probably have. No, not that close. I need to lose some weight. I'd probably have 120 pounds, 130 pounds. It's a good thing I don't weigh 130 pounds. I'd have to, get AIDS or something like that to weigh 130 pounds. You look at that chart, though. That famous chart they pull around. I'm supposed to weigh, 154 or something like that? That's freaking sickly, man. That's sickly. And I'm an average height person. What's the average? 5'9"? I'm an above average height person. Yeah, I don't need to be weighing that little. That's sickly. You never understood the attraction of pirates. Me neither. Like, they make their own rules, but then at the end of the day, rape and pillage things, and at the end of the day, they're like, all right, let's have a vote, see who the next. But there's no freaking voting in pirates, The German and Gallic war bands vote? No, they freaking crush the other guy's skulls, and that's well, maybe they did, I don't know. I like to think that they didn't. Like, no, I'm the leader because I'm the biggest badass. There you go. You actually run out of figures to paint until your next order arrives. What? What's that weight in kilogram? Oh, come on, that's easy to convert. Divide by 2.2. Which weight? My weight or the lead weight? I'm a dude. I don't give a shit about my weight. Dudes don't care. We don't care about gray hair either. As long as you got hair. And I guess after a certain point, you don't care about that either. All right. Is Metal Corner still alive? I'm about to find out. But weight of 15 millimeter lead, I probably have 60 kilos. Probably. 50 for sure. But most of it's stuff I've collected that people didn't want. It wasn't stuff that I bought on my own. Well, I'm not opposed to having old figures, so we put them all to use. All right, this guy has a bow case that is that color, so let's not use that one. Let's make it a dark one, since he has a light-ish type jacket on. Contrast. Contrast is your friend. All right, we need a color made by, I know exactly what color I want. I just have to fish it back here. It's a Cote d'Armes color. Actually, I need to take a little bathroom break and I'll be right back. All right. What's that symbol? Ah, okay. Interesting. Oh, right. Back to the bow case. There it is. Hidden back here in the back. Who are these guys? Priests. For museum. Nice. Those are guys that I was going to use as my... Nope, that's field gray. That's not it. Where the hell is it? Don't make me look for another color, as I will. There it is. Those are guys I was going to use for my French Catholic war band, like warrior monks or some shit like that. Yeah. Back when I was going to build that army in Renaissance. That's a long ways off if I ever get around to it. Long ways off. Lots of things have to be done. Lots of stuff that involves shaking up the establishment need to be done to work on that stuff. Are the Huns of Attila related to the White Huns? I don't know. I mean, I guess eventually. The White Huns are really interesting. I didn't really know much about them. And apparently, they beat the living shit out of the Persians in a battle, the Sassanid Persians. And for 100 years, the Sassanid Persians were the White Huns' bitches. I did not know that. It never would have occurred to me that, an established civilization would be the bitches of nomadic steppe archer type folks, but yeah. And they actually did a big swath of land and were around a lot longer than Attila. Basically, Attila died and that just went out the window. Hola, ¿qué tal? Yeah, I don't know specifically to. Apparently, not a lot is known about the Huns. You know, that kind of happens when, even more than, that old saying that the victors write history. People that don't leave a written language are susceptible to other people writing about them in whatever friggin' way they want. And that's kind of, apparently what I've heard from about the Huns is not a lot is known because they didn't leave a written language. So, actually kind of surprised that there's that much mystery about something that happened the other day. I mean, 500 AD, that's not that long ago, but not a lot is known, apparently. So yeah, if you don't leave a written language, your point of view is probably not going to come across. And that's actually not that uncommon when you're talking about ancient times. There's many instances of it. And it's really pretty sad. Regardless of whether or not you think these guys are nice folks or not. It's good to have multiple viewpoints of something, because otherwise it's just going to be propaganda. I got to keep track of the time, because about 8:30 or so I'm going to have to, unfortunately, I got to go deal with a tire problem. Some bastard construction worker probably left a, I guess it could be low on air, but it's unlikely. I'm not looking forward to that. And mainly not looking forward to it, not because of the cost, but I'd like to put the same tire on there again. And, I'm sure, I'll guarantee there's a problem with getting those tires. Oh, they're 6 months out or some horse shit like that. Are you reusing your membranes or just tossing them? I'm tossing them. Because by the time I reuse it, I'm not going to clean it off every day. Yeah, I guess I probably should take an old one and see if it could be salvageable, but I don't think so. Yeah. I'm American. We throw shit away. I keep forgetting about it. I probably should take an old one and see if I can get some of this stuff off, but I think that if I was going to, if I painted today and stopped and went and rinsed it, that's how you could probably reuse it. But I think that, I'm not diligent enough to do that stuff. I can't even remember to leave my phone charging sometimes. Okay, does this guy have light colored boots? He does not, he has dark. Okay, so this guy's gonna have light colored boots. Yeah, I honestly forgot all about that, Rhett. Now, I've used the other one for 4 years now, so. And by the way, I went ahead and just let it air out. Look at this crinkle thing. It's like freaking leather. And honestly, the membrane isn't any better than the other one. What I really like about this one is it's no mold. And no mold smell. I'm not worried about it. Now, I don't know how much of it is the pennies. I did put pennies in there. So, just for good luck, I guess. So I'm not really sure what effect that had on it. And I never put pennies in the other ones, so. I don't know. And the other thing is I do notice this lint now that's, all among us with the ceiling fan going. It's darker colored, so I don't want to get paint on that, because then I've got this lint thing that I have to deal with on somebody's face or something like that. It's kind of a pain. But honestly, I've forgotten all about these things supposedly being reusable. I have a feeling that I'm not going to be able to salvage one that the paint already dried on it. Yeah, great. Well, we can't have that. We can't have paint on this blue thing. It's going to drive me bananas. I know some of you guys can handle it. I can't. I distract easy. And I already take a long time to do things. As it is, there's this little flecks of paint that happen just by existing. About time to do another scrub on there. And I didn't even pay any of my money for this thing. This was a donated thing from work. But I like to take care of things when you can. You actually prefer the old membranes. I'm not surprised. These are weird, but everything else works better. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming by, as always. Want to get a wet palette? Do you recommend the new one? Yes. Yeah, it's just from the mold issue. And put pennies in each corner. 1 penny in each corner. And you won't have it's not a big deal, but it's just, I don't really want to open this thing up and it smells like a British basement, Or what I imagine a British basement smelling like. There we go. No, I've gotten books from bookseller in England, and it has that smell, and I actually don't mind it. I don't mind the old library smell. My wife hates the smell, but I don't mind it. I don't want my whole house smelling like that, but there's something. I feel like knowledgeable when I smell it. It's like, oh, I'm getting an education. I'm getting educated. So yeah, if you don't have one, get the new one. And it seems to crinkle up less, which is not a big deal because it's not like it crinkles up immediately, but I like it. I'm going to keep the old one as a spare, but this one's better. And the only reason I got this one is my brother decided on a whim just to give it to me. I don't know how he found it. Why is he surfing? Because he's not even a gamer or painter or anything like that. I don't know why he found that about. But he did the Kickstarter on it. He sent it to me as a gift. So that was, and it's funny because he said, I don't know if you'll find this useful. Of course I'm going to find this useful. It's freaking awesome. And what I thought was really cool is it wasn't an army painter one. It was the one done by the same company that I had the other one of. So I literally could compare apples to apples. I mean, that was just luck of the Irish, I'm really not looking forward to today, though. I'm worried about the whole tire thing. Really? Why this trail all the way over there, too? Jesus. All right. You obviously have misbehaved, you insolent bastard. I'll throw this shit away and buy another one. I'm not going to look at these painting distractions. You know, one thing is it's a mess. Another thing is you could bring this live paint onto your figures and have to repaint shit. And that's actually happened to me only one time. Okay. Everlasting wet palette, hands down. No. Yeah, they just happened to have it at one of our shows. They had the little one at our shows, and I paid $50 for it, which I thought, I'm like, man, this may not be very useful. I was already using one. I had handmade one with a sponge and the baking paper. I forget exactly which paper it is, but anyways, with the paper and it was in a little lid, like a sandwich container from probably 1974. It was old. It probably was from 1974. That had commandeered from my mom, and it worked okay. But the problem is the sponge isn't solid like this. Like if you look at this, even without my contacts in, it looks like a solid sponge. And a regular sponge has lots of air pockets, and the air pockets are useless to you. You want to basically be touching the paper as much as possible, so it dry out faster. It is a lot better than just using, painting on a piece of plastic, mixing on a piece of plastic. Just allows you to come back and not have to remix as often, which is just a time saving and a paint saving thing. I paid $50 for the first one. I'm like, man, I hope I didn't throw away $50. And I realized I should have bought it a lot earlier. I had never been somewhere that had one, or I would have probably given it a shot. And I don't know that it's made my painting any better. It's made it more efficient because I'm not having to remix this color. I'm able to do everything I want with the color before it dries out on me. So, no enemy crushing today, unfortunately. The scumbags will just have to wait till tomorrow to get crushed. I'll be honest with you. The thing I'm more interested in playing tomorrow, this is like sacrilege saying this, is some more Command and Colors Napoleonics. I enjoyed that a lot. I gotta play it relatively soon, or I'll forget how to freaking play the game again. Just like when we played a couple games of Maurice, and that is not a user-friendly game. Whereas Command and Colors Napoleonics is much more. And I don't remember how to play that anymore. That was a complicated card management game, which is, it's not newbie friendly. So now when I play that, I'll have to frickin' remember everything again. Pants. How about a hint of blue? Nah. Let's use this ugly ass blue. No, that's too dark. One of these is kind of like a limp color. That's the one I want to get. Here's the limp color. It looks nice and blue here, but then you look at the lid and it's very gray. This is what we're going to use. I don't need very much of it at all. This is one of these colors that no matter what you do, it doesn't mix well. I'm not buying one of those paint shakers. They're too loud. I couldn't use it right now. I wouldn't be able to. The girls are asleep. Shh. Not for long. Just a tiny little bit showing. Just a tiny little bit showing. Let me check on one thing. I'll be right back. Okay, first beer of the day. I'm kidding. Who do you think I am, Luke? I'm gonna vacuum down here, all dust and shit. Sparkling water. It's got a lot more flavor than water. I drink a shitload of water every day, Monday through Friday, so we get to celebrate on weekends and drink other shit. All right. This guy with a face. Let's see if I can make out what the hell he's got going on. Looks like he's got a mustache. He's got frickin' eyes. Lovely. I think he's got a little thing of hair in the back. All right. Time for a facial. Time for a facial. Yeah, I don't need to do 28s. Everybody, I'm sure there are lots of people that paint 28s on YouTube. Guarantee there's a lot of people that paint 28s or 32s or whatever you guys call them now. We have a game store here that has all fantasy crap. What is it? Reaper? Is it Reaper? It's somebody that makes a bunch of like resin figures that look really freaking nice, but it's like, you know, for fantasy stuff. If I want to play fantasy, I just fire up the computer and play Diablo. No reason to play face-to-face fantasy. But they're beautiful figures. But nothing I need to get into. And I don't want to paint stuff just to paint it. I want the idea of being able to use it on a battlefield in a game or something, not just sitting there. Best way to figure out what's what on a figure is start painting them and go like, oh, this guy's got a misshapen ear, or, you know, something like that. I said I haven't used eBay much for things, but I think one thing that might be okay for would be, you know, if I want to get into a new period and just buy a few figures and not have to buy a whole pack of something. I think it could be useful if you find the right thing. But it doesn't tell you what alloy some of the things are. So, you know, I wouldn't want to buy some figures and end up being too soft in alloy, you know. I have to bend it back a couple times, and then, you know, it'll break off, or you lose half a rifle or something like that. But everybody's shipping is terrible. I looked at some shipper, I forget who it was, and they were in the U.S. That's all I remember who they were, but it was $9 shipping. I was like, holy shit, that's expensive. And I forget who it was. It was... But it struck me as being a lot for domestic. Who would it have been? That's strange, because almost everything I'm interested in is... Might have been Eureka USA. Might have been Eureka USA. I don't know if I've ever ordered from them before. I've ordered from Eureka, but it was straight from Australia. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to go to the post office myself. All right. Now, let's see if I can find... these are glasses that you wear when you have your contacts in. Okay? And they're only good for the computer. Maybe. Let's see if we have to resort to that one. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we can get to his face. This should be all right. I went to go check, see if the girls were awake, but I guess they're sleeping in. It's the same one I went all the way around for. No. A lot of people like obsess over brush size, and really it's brush shape that's more important. And I honestly prefer liners than rounds. Oh, this is the part where I got to do his eye. All right. Here we go. That's plenty. Just a little smear of that. And that's the other thing. I've got all these protective things. I'm always putting the edge of the stand up against it. It keeps me from like it losing control of it. Oh, no, I'll probably let it dry too much on the brush. Do a check. Yep. And this guy's eyes are not very well defined. One of them is, but that means I got to paint them both. I'm actually not a fan of painting eyes. At this scale, it's not really needed. Somebody actually painted some you can come back with this dark color and clean that up. I saw somebody recently paint some figures in 28mm. They were absolutely beautiful. But he didn't paint the eyes. And the problem with that is they were cast there. They were like almost like bulging. So they've got like these, like everybody looks like they're walking around with their eyelids closed. Like, I'm not a fan of painting eyes, but if the sculptor goes and gives them freaking eyes, then by God, I gotta paint them. Because otherwise it looks weird. All right, we're just gonna drop a vertical. This guy's got a haircut like Hector Elizondo. That means not a whole lot of hair. You'll have to wait for the pictures. It turned out pretty well. It'll take me 5 minutes to go in and zoom in on this thing. You guys aren't going to be able to see what the hell I'm doing. I don't mind. It's just something else that you got to freaking do. I should label this eyes only, or something like that. For your eyes only. Geez, now this brush looks massive. Guy's got an expression like, whoa. And no, I'm not painting eyebrows. That's stupid. You have to paint eyebrows in 28 mil? There's a question. There's a reason not to do that scale. Gotta paint eyebrows. Somebody with a loud moped. All right. Sunny skin tone. I hate grabbing one thing and two fall down. Nobody's paint system is perfect, but I like this one better than others I've seen, and I already have it, and it wasn't very expensive. They actually had a lot of people selling different painting area things, paint storage type stuff for your desk at Historicon, and they were all really expensive. And worse than that is, I already have one. So as soon as I buy another one, the one I have might as well just go in the trash. So there's no point in throwing money at something and rendering something that's perfectly fine useless. I actually had quite a few people selling those, all made out of MDF. So MDF is definitely a popular material these days. And that's cool because I think it's actually fairly durable. It smells good. It smells good when cut. Yes, yes, I'm hungry. Well, the nice thing is this guy is turning out better than I thought he was going to, because the casting of his face wasn't ideal. Shit. Something's happening. It happened on the other face too. Where paint's getting kind of gummy. That's a problem if you leave a gummy piece on his face. That, of course, is the easiest thing to notice. Jesus. That's a good Jesus, by the way. Okay. Now let's paint his little beard thing, his little mustache. I'll show you what his face looks like here when we're done with it. I just didn't want to mess up my vibe, the pace of it. Because the other face was actually pretty challenging. And it's mostly because of that gumminess that if anybody's still on. Let's take a look. Let's zoom this in. Let's bring this up. And it's going to look not so good because the lighting in here is not conducive to it's like he pays a fool. Actually, it looks like I need to do more to him now that I look at him. Nope. No, that's just the camera. No, I'm pretty happy with that, how he turned out. Yeah, because all around and this zoomed in, everything looks like shit, honestly. Alright, let's zoom back out. Alright, what do we got left on this clown? Stirrups. Alright, it's 8:30. I'm going to need to cut this one out. So, as always, thanks for stopping by.